The Justice Department is suing California over redistricting. A pro-Trump Christian was attacked by Antifa members. Trump admin is launching Operation Southern Spear in the Caribbean to fight against drugs cartels. And the government shutdown after 43 days, the longest in the nation's history, has ended. All of that and more, but first, let me introduce myself. My name is Dominic Laube. I love theology, philosophy, and I love politics. These three things I am most passionate about, as you will soon learn as you get to know me better in all these podcasts. I plan to upload at least one podcast a week on Sundays at around 6 o'clock, if not more. However, I have somewhat of a busy schedule as a college student in computer information systems with two jobs, one an internship and the other one a side job to earn some more money. I'm starting this podcast because I see a society shoving liberal and socialist ideas down the throats of conservatives. And conservatives do not know how to respond. Some of them do, but not all of them do. Some of them respond with extreme views that go too far. Some of them completely lose sight of politics and step out and stop thinking about it and pretend that they live in a world where politics does not exist. They pretend they live in a reality where they don't have to vote. They don't have to have an opinion. They think they can just live without thinking about any of these things. It's an escape. It's a way to make themselves feel more at peace. But really, this is not the response we should have, because then the liberals win, and then they'll intrude into your life, and then you'll really feel it, and you won't be able to do anything about it because it'll be too late. This is cowardice, generally speaking. Other times it's just ignorance. I believe that America needs to get back to a Christian, traditional society. And I don't know what you think about when you think of the word traditional. I know some people think of a patriarchal, abusive society, but that's not what I mean. That's not what traditional is. What I mean by a traditional society is a society that does not force transgenderism down our throats or force it into our children's minds, or a society that forces us to pretend that same-sex marriage is normal and acceptable behavior. What I mean by a traditional society is one that supports people in thinking critically on their own. This is what I mean by a traditional society, and there is so much more to it. But this is an introduction of myself, not an explanation on what a traditional society is. The purpose of this podcast is to have you all learn how to think critically and begin to question things and have your own ideas and thoughts and opinions, rather than just listen to that of someone else's and pretend that they are your own. Propaganda has become very powerful. People can take questions and shift them and ask them in such a way that makes you think something and believe that it is your own opinion, when really that opinion was made for you already when that question was asked. Since I am new to this scene, I'm not sure how other people write their scripts. I did not exactly write a script as if it was a play that I'm reciting word for word, because then I have a lot of and pauses like that, and it doesn't sound very good. So I'm trying to think of what to say next as I'm saying it. So I'm doing a lot of things at once right now, so I hope you'll understand if something is off. I will try to fix it as going forward. I would appreciate any feedback in the comments section below to help me improve my videos. I'm trying to make quality, entertaining videos, as well as informational videos too. And I hope you enjoy. If you do enjoy, please subscribe and like, as it helps out a lot. And every moment that I sit here in this chair recording is money that's lost. And as a college student, that's money I needed. So it would be very helpful for you to subscribe. Now, let's get into the news. The Justice Department is suing California over redistricting. Proposition 50 is the new law that California passed, authorizing the state to redistrict without federal government authorization. This makes no sense. How can a state that does not have power give itself power? The power needs to be imparted from somebody with that power, the federal government, for instance. This means that the federal government should be the one giving the state that power, but this did not happen. California gave itself power that it did not have. That doesn't make any sense. The Supreme Court or the federal government should give They shouldn't give California the power, as we will discuss in a moment. But if someone is going to give them the power, it can't be California. It's got to be someone with more power than them who has that power. That's a lot of power. The idea of redistricting is trying to give the minority a stronger voice. In democracy, the minority is always the weaker side that does not get to write our laws. It is always the majority that wins. The minority in our country, which the Democrats are trying to give more power to, are illegal aliens. They have imported 10 million illegal immigrants, 20 million illegal immigrants. We don't know the exact number, but it's something like that, and it's quite high. That is a ridiculous amount. Never before in our history have we ever had such a large amount of illegal immigrants in our country. These illegal immigrants were imported so that they could vote for Democrats and keep Democrats in power forever. The Democrats would have kept importing illegal immigrants if they had maintained power until there was more illegal immigrants in this country than there were American citizens. But they were not able to do that. Trump won the election. Trump won the majority vote. Trump won the popular vote. He won the Electoral College. He won the House. He won the Senate. We have the Supreme Court. It was a wipeout. The liberals are without power. So now they're trying to scramble and give themselves power that they don't have. This is what we're seeing in California. Democrats giving Democrats power that they didn't have. And they can't give themselves power like that. That's not how power works, as I have said before. The liberals are quite clear on their intentions. This is a discussion about keeping minorities, meaning races, that are less than white people, as in less than, smaller in number, not less than in terms of value, as all colors of people are the same worth, although the liberals would like to have it where white people are worth less than minorities. Redistricting is not new to California. This has already been going on in many states. You can look at Texas even, or New York, or you can look at Illinois, look at Chicago, look at the big cities. Go online, look up maps of districts. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense. It's like a bunch of noodles thrown together in a giant mess because the liberals are trying to squeeze as many votes as they can out of minorities through these districts. These should be boxes. The entire city should be one district, or more than the city, really. We shouldn't be shaping these to fit certain demographics and races. We shouldn't be shaping these to match where the liberals live so that the liberals get as much say as 4 times the amount of Republicans. The liberals claim that they want their districts to be more representative of their people. If you want a representative district, it should be a box, not squiggles, not shaped to the way you want it, not shaped to certain demographics or political beliefs, not so that one side of the street that votes Democrat is a district, while the rest of the neighborhood is one other district. But this is what the Democrats do. They try to cheat and lie until they steal more votes, steal more power that they don't have, until eventually they turn our society into a communist regime. That's the goal. The goal is to give the Democrats absolute power so that there is no voting, there is no elections, there is no power left to the people. They're trying to take all this power away from the people through manipulation and give it to themselves so that they can rule over your life, every aspect of it. And this is how countries fall. This is how the Roman Empire fell. The Roman Empire, partially, there were other reasons for it. Like, for instance, importing tons of legal immigrants and then having them go into their military. That part, well, I guess they weren't illegal immigrants at the time, but there was a ton of migrants who came into the Roman Empire. And then they were hired into the military because there's no one else left to fight, because a lot of Romans were outnumbered by all these people. And then the military did not want to fight for the Roman Empire anymore. But another aspect of it was that the Roman Empire had to clamp down on all of its states, take more power for the quote-unquote federal government. It wasn't a federal government, for the emperor at the time. And it had to, well, I guess at the time it was a republic. but there was it kind of like the President of the United States. Over time, the President of the United States has gained more and more power. That's just how it's been. It's not supposed to be that way, but that's just how it's gone. So similarly, in the Roman Empire, the quote-unquote president, I'm just trying to make it seem more, I'm making this more clear to our current society. So the quote-unquote president of the Roman Empire over time gained more power till eventually we went back to the Roman Empire instead of a Roman Republic. And as this was happening, the emperors were clamping down on the states. And as they were clamping down on the states, they became rebellious and fought back. That's how Rome collapsed. That's one aspect of how Rome collapsed. And now you can see the Democrats, there are illegal immigrants in the military. They get into the military to do papers, to get their green card, to get their papers, to become citizens. You see illegal immigrants in the police force. Do you want an illegal immigrant protecting you from an illegal immigrant? If you call an illegal immigrant, if you call 911 because someone broke into your house, an illegal immigrant comes, why is he going to protect you? Why? You're not his brother, in his opinion. You're some foreigner to him, and he is to you. So why would he risk his life to defend you? Why would the illegal immigrants in the military risk their lives to defend this country? The left would have it that all illegal immigrants are people seeking better lives, but we know that's not true. There are many illegal immigrants who are violent, and they commit crime in our streets. They riot, they protest, they burn things, they loot things. Not all of them, but there's a good amount of them, and it shouldn't be happening. These immigrants are like foreign invaders. These illegal immigrants need to be kicked out, and that's what Trump is trying to do with mass deportations, which I support. Some people say that mass deportations is immoral and wrong, and it's not acceptable, and we should just leave these people here. Why should we leave people here who commit crime in our streets? Why should we leave those people in our country? Those people should be kicked out. Why would we leave the rest of the illegal immigrants there? I mean, there was this one illegal immigrant that went on to a show discussing how much debt they have. And it was shocking. It was like $1 million of debt. They're laughing about it because they know they don't have to pay that back. And they went on to this show for all Americans to see. You know, it used to be that illegal immigrants, when they came into this country, they would hide themselves because otherwise we'd come after them and arrest them. But now they're on TV laughing at us about how much debt they have. These illegal immigrants have no attachment to American society. And that's why they have these kinds of behaviors, because they don't care. There's no reason they should care. It's not their country. It's not their people. They're a foreigner, among foreigners, in their opinion. A lot of people have this abstract idea of the United States. It's just not reality. They have this idea that the United States has so much money and power that we can take in millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of illegal immigrants. We just choose not to, out of selfish reasons. But if we took in, I mean, you already see it with 10 million illegal immigrants. If we took in 100 million illegal immigrants, its culture would be no more in our society. It would be like France, a mess of people who can't get along, fighting each other. Our economy would collapse because they would be on welfare. And our taxes cannot afford that kind of amount of people suddenly on welfare. Not only would our economy collapse and our culture, but even our religion would change. It would shift. If we had a bunch of Muslims come into this country, we would not have a Christian society anymore. It would be a mix of Muslims and Christians. This is all ignoring the fact that we are in $37 trillion of debt. More than that, I'm sure. We do not have the money or the resources to take in all of these illegal immigrants. It can't be expected of us on a moral level or on it can't be expected of us on any level, really, because we just are unable to do so. If we had the power and the money, and it didn't destroy our economy, our culture, and everything, then yeah, we'd take them all in. That'd be fine. Assuming they were not criminals, then that'd be okay. But these are not our friends. These are not people who are coming to help benefit our society. They're coming to suck resources off of our society. There are some of them who are here for a better life. Those ones should be in line to become legal immigrants. We have an immigration system. It's been there forever. People say, oh, but we can't have 10 million people processed in 1 month. Yeah, because as I just discussed, even if they're legal, it doesn't matter if they're illegal or legal. That amount of migration is just not sustainable for a country. It would collapse the society. But I digress. There is much more to be said about the illegal immigration. And I know people are going to be mad about what I just said about it, but I don't care because these are my opinions. I believe this is the truth. And so I'm going to say it with confidence, knowing that I am human and I can be wrong. So I am open to other opinions and thoughtful debate. But I am not open to people who just yell at me for being wrong and don't have an alternative or can't deny what I said, prove it's false. Those are the people who I ignore. If you have a thoughtful debate, I'd love to hear it. And I'm sure I'll have someone on the show or someone's on the show to debate this topic at some point in the future. But for now, this is the basis of my opinion, and I've tried to articulate it as best as I can. But there are other topics of news to move on to, so let's keep going. This is similar to what the previous topic was about. An Antifa member attacks a pro-Trumper. He's a Christian, and he's holding up a T-shirt. On the back, it had a cross, and the cross had text that said, "This is the turning point." So clearly he was a Trump-supporting Christian. He was standing in the midst of a bunch of Antifa protesters. They all held flags. You could see on them, some of them had BLM fists. Some of them were pro-Palestine flags. There were some LGBTQ flags. A bunch of different flags and signs. And they were yelling at him and cursing him out. And he was just standing there taking it. He was just standing there holding up this shirt. He didn't even say anything to them for the most part. Then suddenly, these protesters' signs blocked the cameras. And then this fight breaks out. Someone named Jihad, with a last name that I can't even pronounce, punched this Christian in the face after his necklace was stolen. The Christian was bleeding out. You could see tons of blood running down his face as police rushed in to stop the fight. Both of them were cuffed and taken away. Later on, from a police report, we learned these things that I just said about how the man's necklace was stolen, for instance. These come from the official police report. So, Jihad, I'm going to say, supposedly started this fight because we have not had a trial yet where he was found guilty. But it's quite clear that he is the one who started this. Why would the Christian have started it? That doesn't make any sense. He wasn't doing anything. They were all very passionately angry with him. And usually the passionate, angry, yelling ones, they're the ones to start fights. Not the calm, collected people. Not the peaceful ones. The right does not tend towards violence like the left would like you to have, like the left would like you to think. The left takes statistics using data that's lies. They use that to claim that the right is the violent side, that the right is the one who causes all of our atrocities in our society, that the right are terrorists that need to be stopped. That's why the left is made to hate us so much. It's because of these lies that divide us. There is a statistic that the media uses to lie against the right side. This statistic says that most political violence is the right who cause it. But when you look into the data, you can see a lot of things left out. For instance, in the data, Charlie Kirk's assassination was not a political assassination. That's absurd. Of course, it was a politically motivated attack. And it's not a right person who would attack a right person. Why would someone who agrees with someone attack them? Clearly, this was a leftist. We know that from the police report. According to the police report, the assassin was gay. He had a boyfriend. This was attested to by a neighbor who saw them holding hands several times. He was also had engravings on his bullet casings, like, "Catch this, fascist," stuff like that. Clearly, this was a liberal who shot Charlie Kirk over his political ideas. But this didn't count in this statistic towards a politically motivated assassination. Another example, a leftist went into a Catholic church, shot up the place. This wasn't in the data of that statistic. Clearly, this statistic is missing out a lot of leftist violence so that they're able to lie and say that it's the right. The right is the violent side. Because that makes sense. The side that supports God, faith, country, guns, family, Christianity. That's the side that they claim is violent and shooting everyone. What about the party that voted 3 times to get God removed from their constitution? Something. They tried to remove God from their party 3 times. What about how the left constantly calls the right side fascists, Nazis, bigots, haters, all of that? The left is trained to believe that we are life-threatening. And that's why the left shoots us. Because they think that we're going to control them and make them do things against their will. Make them believe and say things that they don't. They think that we are going to be a tyrannical government that's going to take over, be like the communists. Although they would probably like communism. They would probably like socialism too. But in my opinion, communism is not good at all. It's one of the worst. It is the worst government form out there. So to me, it's an insult. But to them, that would be a compliment. But anyways, to me, it sounds more plausible that the side that is trained to think that the right is life-threatening is more likely to be violent towards us, rather than the side that believes in faith and God and everything else like that. But enough about leftists skewing data in their favor to spin narratives to lie about the right. Let's move on to something a little more positive. Operation Southern Spear to attack drug cartels in the Caribbean has been launched by the Trump administration. This will include 10,000 Marines and soldiers, as well as some Navy ships, I believe 12,000 sailors and Marines positioned in the area. They've moved one of the aircraft carriers to the area as well. This is an operation against Venezuela because the Venezuelan president has been accused of siding with drug cartel members and all kinds of drug traffickers. This is the most basic use of our military. One of the most hard to claim to be wrong. It's defense of the American people. So many people died from fentanyl overdoses every year in America because drug trafficking has at an all-time rise. The drug cartels has become a billion-dollar industry thanks to Joe Biden. This needs to stop. And Trump is stopping this, using our military, defending the Americans. Well, we are the Americans. I say that as if we're not. Defending Americans, us Americans. You can't call defense morally wrong. So I support Trump going after the drug cartels with our military. I think he should do it more than he has. I think our border needs to be more defended. We need that border wall built. We need no illegal immigrants crossing in. And if any do, we need to go after them and deport them. We need to have strict immigration laws to stop all these foreign immigrants from bringing in drugs, from trafficking children into our country and out of our country. Well, they don't traffic drugs out of our country. So Trump using our military to do this is a good thing. I see as beneficial, and we should support this. Now getting to the government shutdown, it has ended, finally, after 43 days, the longest in our nation's history. On November 12th, a bill was passed that would resolve our budget and keep the government funded until January 30th of 2026. So about 3 months, right? Something like that. This also included full budgeting for the whole year of 2026 for 3 departments. That is the Department of Defense, Department of Veteran Affairs, and the legislative branch. This bill, which was passed, did not include an extension on the Affordable Care Act tax credits. This is what the Democrats forced our government into shutdown over. They wanted the Affordable Care Act tax credits to continue. So because of that, they would not side with the Republicans on any bill. This is not the end of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. We'll definitely hear more negotiations in the future, probably on January 30th and before, in the next budget. The Democrats are the reason for this shutdown because we did not have enough support on the Republican side in order to continue this budget. And it was not just that we couldn't hold the Republican Party together. Most Republicans, I think there were 2 exceptions, voted with the party in support of bills, and the Democrats just needed some to come across the aisle and vote with us. They didn't. That's what sent us into shutdown. We didn't have a choice to shut down the government. It was the Democrats who did this. And now they're seeing this, and now they're seeing political retaliation over this. The people know that the Democrats are the ones who caused this. This is the first time in our history of our country that the Democrats are losing a shutdown. This does not look good for them politically. People do not like the shutdown, and they know it's the Democrats' fault this time. This is why the Democrats had to open the government back up. They're losing this battle. They've lost everything. Now they're losing support across the country. The Democratic Party approval rating is like 30% among Americans. It's really low. This is not looking good for them at all, but it's looking good for us because hopefully we will not have to deal with them anymore. And instead, we'll see the Republican Party take control, and then we'll have the Republican Party break up into 2 parties probably between moderates and rights. And the moderates will become the quote-unquote Democrats, but under a different name. They'll be less extreme and radical, and it'll be beneficial to our country because if that party loses, at least they'll still be trying to make this country better. Whereas the far left extremists don't like our country, they hate it. They say that out loud. They wave Mexican flags, Ukraine flags, Palestine flags, any flag but the American flag. They burn American flags, which should be illegal, but the Constitution, according to the Supreme Court, does not ban burning flags. But with all that for our news, let's get into the quote of this week. This quote comes from Aristotle. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. The dumbest people in our country are the ones who are ignorant and believe that they are always right. They think they're perfect, unbiased, and all of these, and more. These people will not learn from anyone, and they're always stuck in their own heads thinking about what they think is right. And they don't take external sources in like you should. You should read books. You should debate people so that you can get a better understanding of the truth. You shouldn't listen to one person and be like, he's right, his opinion's 100% right. No, you should listen to a bunch of opinions and form your own out of your best conscience. Personally, I can say that there has been many times where I've not wanted to listen to the other side of the debate. I've just wanted to shut them down, not listen, and think what I think and think it's right. But I continued to listen, and I was open-minded to them, and I know every time I learned something new, and I was able to adjust my point of view, my opinion on things, to something that more aligns with the truth, with reality. This is something that everyone should learn from, not from just me, but from anyone who is like this. You are not always right. You will never always be right. You always need someone helping you. This is why critical thinking is so important to us, because it helps us find the truth of things. It helps us to see the reality before us, rather than something that we've created in our minds. Debate is not about losing or winning the argument. Debate is about finding the truth, which most likely is not just your opinion 100% or the other side's opinion 100%. It's more likely to be something in the middle. Not exactly in the middle. One of you could be more right than the other, but neither of you are 100% right, and there's always a little bit of truth in something someone says. Usually things are hyperboles or exaggerations, unintentionally or intentionally. We need to take these and find the truth in them and use that truth for our own opinions to find the truth of reality. This is why debate is so important in our society. Because if everyone believes their own exaggerated hyperbole, then we're not going to get anything done. If everyone's running around debating each other just to win an argument, then really no one's ever going to win. Because no one's going to learn anything. No one's going to be able to adjust their opinion towards something more truthful. We need to return to critical thinking, self-thinking, not letting someone else think for us. We need to return to debate. Some people believe that since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, that the left, that 50% of the country does not want to debate, so we can't continue debating because they'll shoot us. But the reality is, Charlie Kirk made a great influence on the world. So what he was doing was working, and he was debating. Debate worked. It's just that some people who have mental diseases or on drugs need to be locked up so that they can't shoot debaters. We should continue these debates. They're beneficial to our country. These things I believe, and I hope that you can find some agreeing with them. I hope that you'll think about them and have them affect your opinions on things so that you can become more in line with truth and reality. I hope that in the future I can debate people on this show. I hope that I can learn something from them. And then I hope I can teach that to you so that we all learn and grow to become better people. It is hot in this room. So that is the end of this show. I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe. Hit the like button. I'm going to upload this. I'm going to upload a podcast video at least once a week, Sunday nights. And I hope you have a good week. God bless.